Hello all, welcome to the next video of computer systems and organization. In the previous videos, we have seen the basic components of computer and the various devices used, etc. Here in this video also, we are going into the details of some basic components only. So we learned about memory, we learned about two types of RAM, memory, that is RAM and ROM. We learned about primary memory and we learned about secondary memory, etc. So we are going to learn a little bit more about the RAM. RAM are of two types, that is SRAM and DRAM. SRAM stands for static RAM and DRAM stands for dynamic RAM. This is one of the most important questions that comes in the computer organization part, that is to differentiate the SRAM as well as the DRAM. So SRAM stands for static RAM, which is comprised of flip-flops, that is a combinatorial circuits made of gates, and there is no need of any regenerated circuit. See, in DRAM, the dynamic RAM, it is made up of the electronic components, transistors and capacitors, and also it needs regenerator circuit, that is an extra circuitry is needed to retain the content inside that memory. So you have to refresh it periodically using that regenerator circuit. But in the case of static RAM, it's not like that. You can it is not needed to have a regenerator circuit to store the data. So that's the main difference between DRAM and SRAM. And also SRAM takes more data to store the same data that has been stored by the DRAM, which is stored in less space in DRAM. But DRAM is more having more circuitries, but SRAM is faster than DRAMs. Next is a type of ROMs. ROM is read-only memory, and ROM is again divided into PROM, EROM, and EEPROM. That is, PROM stands for Programmable ROM, where the data can be programmed once and the information once recorded cannot be changed further. It's also known as Programmable ROM, PROM or Programmable ROM. And coming to Erasable Programmable Read-Only Memory, it is the data that we have included or that we have embedded in the chip can be changed using ultraviolet rays, and again you can use the ROM for some other purpose. It's not by the user, it's only for the manufacturers, such that they can use the components again and again. Electrically erasable means the content can be erased with the help of electric combination of a specific combination of voltage and current. Under normal conditions, the instructions which are written once will be always in the ROM. And I tell you this is only for only the manufacturers can remove the data and they can put the data once more. It is only sole purpose is for the reuse of the components. Now coming to the primary memory, you need to know why primary memory is needed. Primary memory or RAM is needed because normally the data is kept in the hard disk, and when the program has to be executed or any application has to be executed, it is taken into RAM, such that the CPU gets very easy access to the RAM to run it without wasting any time. So that's why it is using RAMs. We can read the theory there. And similarly, you have the cache memory. I can explain with the help of an example. So consider that you have the CPU here, and you have the primary memory, which is RAM. So when CPU is responsible for execution of the programs, and the data or the instructions, extra, everything is in the hard disk. So the data from the hard disk, the instructions, every program from the hard disk has to be taken to CPU for execution. For that purpose, every time this takes 10 raised to minus 3 seconds, that is milliseconds. It is in the order of milliseconds. But taking from the data from the RAM is of nanoseconds. That is, you divide the whole second into 10 raised to 9 different parts, and one part is the time taken to take the data from RAM to CPU. So this is beneficial for having a RAM. That is, for RAM is beneficial in such a way that you can take the data faster. And one more section is there. I told you have the hard disk. have the RAM as well as you have the CPU here. In between, so I told you the data is taken from the RAM for the CPU. This is RAM. And between this RAM and CPU, there is a short memory known as cache, which is again closer to CPU, which takes very less time for data transfer. So the frequently used instructions and data which is used by CPU is kept in the cache, which is useful for speedy recovery. And I told you it is only for the instructions and data which is used frequently again and again. Okay, so that's all. And one question that can come here is you have to arrange the order of this memory in their capacity. So you can see that hard disk is having the higher capacity, and then RAM or ROM is having the next higher capacity. Then comes the cache memory, which is having very less memory, and then comes the registers, which are some storage units inside the CPU. Registers are storage units within the CPU which store one or two numbers that is being executed, maybe an intermediate result, or it may be the operands of any operation, etc. So this is how the priority goes, that is hard disk or the secondary devices are having the highest storage space, and then comes RAM, then comes cache, and then comes the so this is in the order of their storage capacity. So this question can also come uh, in case of the storage topic. So now you can read the pause the video, read the theory coming here.